Hi everyone, this is Ben from BTQ. We're going to start the first part of the training talking about the enrollment file and tracking and how to make sure members get on the enrollment file. And then Ed's going to cover the billing. Just to put this in context, a claim essentially has, you can think of it as a life cycle that we've broken down into 10 steps. First, the actual work is done. You perform an outreach service or a care management service for the member. Then you enter that into your Health Homes EHR or EMR. In some cases, it's going directly into the BTQ portal for some Health Homes. If it's not going directly into the BTQ portal, BTQ will pick up the activity from your Health Homes EMR. Then BTQ begins its process. We submit tracking that adds the member to the enrollment file in MAP. And then you can look up the member in MAP and see the work that you've done. Then, at that point, once the member's on the enrollment file, you can think of the claim as being queued for billing. Then, when we're ready to bill, we check to make sure that all the requirements are met. We're going to talk through those on this training. Then we actually generate and submit the bill. We submit a billing file to MAP and then one directly to eMedNy for the members who are not part of managed care plans. Then we follow up on the claim with the appropriate payer to make sure they received it and they're going to pay. Then the claim is paid. And lastly, that payment is dispersed to you. The funds are released and the member level detail is made available to you. So the first part is tracking. If there are any issues, this will hold up billing. That's why tracking is so important. Tracking is the member on your enrollment file? If you look them up in MAP, will MAP say that you are the agency with whom the member is enrolled, which is different from assignments. Now, we have a report in our portal that will expose any issues with the tracking. When we submit the tracking, MAP may return what the state calls tracking errors. I'm going to go through what those look like in the BTQ portal right now. So here is our demo environment. This is a summary level view of the enrollment file. It's called the NYS Enrollment versus Bill Report. Each column represents a service month. This top section shows you all the members that are enrolled, right under all the member in outreach. It also estimates the dollar amount if we were to bill for all of those. And then it tells you how many members we've actually billed for and how many we have not billed for. You can click on any of these numbers to go to the enrollment file. But first, we're going to go through the tracking errors. Tracking errors can be accessed by clicking on Patient Management and then NYS Tracking Errors. By default, you'll be taken to this Detail tab that will show you who the members are only in the most recent week. If you want to look at older data, you can click the Clear Filters button and then it will show you everything. You can go to the Aging tab right here in the center to see when these errors happen. Each column represents a quarter by default. You can check off this box to break it out by service month. So you can see, was there any month when the errors spiked, and you can concentrate on that. As for the types of errors, we're just going to go through those. This one, as of date, member is not eligible for Medicaid. BTQ is able to make that error go away, and then the member gets added to the enrollment file, but the problem of the member not being Medicaid eligible does not go away. And at that point, once we get the member onto the enrollment file, and the tracking error is gone, we still need to check eligibility against eMedNy before we bill. And at that point, we're going to get a response from eMedNy that says the member is not Medicaid eligible. Our eligibility report and our enrollment file report will show you that. And that's when you can come in and recertify the member. But in terms of this tracking error right here, BTQ adds those members to MAP manually. That's the state's guidance for resolving the error. And there's invalid coverage code and invalid RD code. We've been told by the state that if you believe that a member has a code that's not correct or it's inaccurate or outdated, you can call Medicaid Social Services and let them know, and maybe they'll remove it, in which case this error would go away. But these two essentially mean that the member is not eligible to be in the Health Home program, even though they may have active Medicaid. Then there are a couple other errors that you'll see. One is the overlapping segment. This means that another Health Home is working with the member. The Health Home's ID is given, as well as the first service month when the other health home was working with them, and the last service month when the other health home was working with them. And if this is blank, that means they're still working with them. These will be filled in when you go to the detail. Each row has the actual values. On the summary, it just has these MMDD YYYY values. There are other errors that you may see. They are more rare. For example, this R code error, errors about the gender or the date of birth being incorrect. Those 3 errors, BTQ resolves, so you don't need to take any action on those. Do note the overlap error, though. It is very important to understand. You've done work, and we've tried to submit that to the enrollment file as the first step of the billing process. And the state tells us that we can't because another health home is working with them. You need to know that. And at that point, if you like, you may reach out to the other health home, or you may have your health home lead do that depending on your health home lead's workflow. But you need to know, you need to be aware. We cannot bill, we cannot get this number on the enrollment file, and here's why. And again, the detail for these members is in the detail tab. If you want to see a non-aged summary, you can by just clicking on the summary tab over here. Okay, back to our presentation. So in terms of the other pieces to it, we have the rest of the billing process. We have a schedule. Got this colorful calendar up here to illustrate that at the end of day Friday, you can think of as the closing period for that particular week. If you manage to enter your encounter in before the end of the day on Friday, BTQ will include it in the billing that happens on Monday and Tuesday of the next week. But if you miss that date, I'm sorry, the cutoff is Thursday, not Friday. If you enter your encounter in at the end of the day on Thursday, it will be included in the bill that gets generated the next week. Right now, BTQ is intaking encounters every day for most health homes and submitting tracking every day for most health homes. And that's what allows us to turn this around so quickly. If you miss that cutoff, it will be included in the next week's billing. And we've color-coded this calendar to try to make that clear. So if you get it in by the end of the day this Thursday with the green, we'll include it in the billing submission here, which is also green. I'm going to allow Ed to continue and go through the rest of the steps, clarify what those are and what issues you might run into and how you can use the BTQ portal to see and resolve those issues. So here's Ed Randazzo.
Thanks, Ben. Hi, everyone. There's a lot of things going on here, but what you really need to understand is that we are billing and tracking as much as possible to get you paid as soon as possible. So really, this is going through the various cycles, but if you think of each cycle independently, basically we'll be billing for you every Monday and Tuesday to get it in for the Wednesday Medicaid submission. So really, anything that's not accepted, by Thursday, everything will be approved on Friday, and we'll be doing the billing on Monday and Tuesday. Anything that misses that Thursday deadline, we'll just have to wait until the week after, which means that it will go on the following Wednesday to Medicaid. The other important piece is that we will be dispersing weekly. So we'll be cutting checks every Monday, and what that means is that you should be receiving payment for your Medicaid billing about 35 days after the entry. Obviously there's some caveats to that. There's MCO billing, and we'll get to that. But for now, we're going to go through the billing cycle and show you some of the relevant reports in the portal. So the first report we're going to talk about is a monthly submission report, which displays all of the patients that were billed in a given month. It's very important to use the monthly submission report to kind of generate the revenue. To really look and see and anticipate when things will be paid. It's a lot easier when we are expecting everything to go to Medicaid, but come April, when we will probably be, commencing the MCO billing, although the state has said several times that may be postponed, you would use this report to really, one, make sure that everything that you thought should be captured was billed, And number two, you can use it to really try to forecast when those payments will come in. So if you look at this report, and let's say you were looking at September, this is going to tell you how many claims were submitted for how much money, and will tell you the payer. So when you look at this report and you see total Medicaid fee-for-service, you can anticipate that these funds will come in 3 weeks. You know, that's very helpful when you're projecting your revenue. Here we have listed all the MCOs, and it's anticipating the old system whereby, you know, MCO payments come in about 120 days. You know, and you would have to project that that would take a little bit longer to collect. You know, one thing I'll touch upon real quickly is that there is this stigma out there that the MCOs took 120 days. You know, they are very slow. However, BTQ after 120 days usually collects 92% or greater. So it's really how do we go about collecting the remainder. We'll talk a little bit about the MCOs in a little bit. But as we said, come December 1st, everything will be billed to Medicaid. You know, come April, there will be a new MCO system. Should be much quicker. There's going to be a capitation system and things like that. So we should not have the issues that we were experiencing under the old system. Okay, so once everything is submitted, you know, now we're going to probably focus on what was not submitted, and we have several reports for that. Ben went over the New York State enrolled versus billed. We have the missed claims, and we have the billing rejected. So let's go through some of those reports right now. So Ben showed you a little bit of the New York State enrolled versus billed, really in the context of the tracking, but it's also very useful in the billing as far as seeing what was submitted each month. Now you want to see, did what was submitted match what you thought should have been submitted? So as Ben said, all of the patients on the New York State enrollment file are here with a potential claim, and important for the billing is the not billed. It gives you the dollars of everything not billed. So really there's a few different things now that you need to check. You know, obviously you always need to make sure that everything is entered correctly at the front end. That's where everything starts as far as proper billing. Everything's complete, everything's in the EMR. If that's the case and you know you saw the patient, now you're going to wonder why it wasn't billed, and there's a few reports that can help you to do that. This claims report is the biggest one, and that's where really the majority of the issues that we see are located. Medicaid eligibility and missed HML. In the past, these things, you know, the eligibility would be billed and denied. But what we found is that, you know, by that time, it's too late for you to do anything to fix it and get things rebuilt. So what the portal does for you is it puts everything in a queue for you to work before it gets billed. Medicaid eligibility is very important. It's one of the biggest reasons we see claims not getting paid. You know, and now we know that there's two types of eligibility that you have to concern yourself with. Number one, is the patient Medicaid eligible? You know, Medicaid eligibility, you really only have 3 months to get that corrected. If not, you know, these claims will be not recoverable, and really it's lost revenue. Not health home eligible. We know that the state has a list of invalid RE codes and coverage codes, which would tell you if the patient is in a program that makes them not health home eligible, or if their coverage doesn't extend to health home. This list is on the frequently asked questions section of the portal. You know, we have been told by the state that it is not complete. There are actually codes that they're using right now that will not show up on that list, which was not updated after May of 2016. Some of those codes that we know of thus far are AH and NH, or AL and NH, assisted living and nursing home. If you see those, the patients are not health home eligible. You know, but one thing to really keep in mind also is that the state has advised that a lot of those codes remain on the patient's account incorrectly. So what they recommend is that you call your local social services office and try to get those RE codes removed if they're there incorrectly. The portal will re-sweep claims if they change their eligibility status and will rebuild them. You won't have to do anything. HML, very important. We know that it's required. We know that it affects the rates come December. If the HML is not updated for a given month, it will reside here in this report. Once it's completed, it will be billed, so you won't have to do anything. Very common question we get is, we're billing once a week. What happens if the HML changes, or if the patient's status changes in some way where you can get paid more at a higher rate? BTQ will do the void and will do the rebilling on your behalf. Nothing needs to be done on your side. One other place you want to look for any potential issues with things that were not billed is right here. This is the billing rejection report. Not going to spend a lot of time on this because really it should be minimal. What we're finding is things that are rejected from the billing file at the last minute. We do know that there are timing issues between when Medicaid updates in eMedi and when it's updated in the portal. There's things like retroactive terminations and things like that. So that could be a reason why things were not billed. Okay? So now we are going to look at the last remaining important reports for billing. The AR report, which shows the breakdown of all billing. Denial report, which will show you the detail of any of your denials. And the Health Home Summary report, which is kind of a high-level way to kind of get the full picture of what's going on with your accounts receivable. So, main report. This is the AR report. It contains everything you want to know about your claim status and where your remaining open AR is, your denials, and how we are performing for you collection-wise. One thing that I want to address real quickly, some of the direct billers have asked about obtaining remit information to post in their own system. BTQ certainly wants to help you, and we do have an 835 writer available so that you can do that. However, we do recommend that you check out the portal and look at the functionality before you commit to doing something like that. The reason being is that it can really lead to more reconciliation issues than it's worth, and everything you could possibly need is available in the portal. If you need data in a certain format, you can always download it into Excel and then manipulate it afterwards as well. So that's an important feature. When you're looking at the AR, it's broken down 0 to 120 and over 120. That is really based on past MCO performance. As we said, come April, when the MCOs are a factor again, we expect that they've been directed by the state to really set up more like a CPT level, CPT model. What that means is that they should be able to turn around claims in a fashion like they do for all medical billing, and that you won't have these 120-day delays. So, in addition to that, they won't be billing Medicaid. They will have a up to 5-month capitation payment to pay these claims and hopefully do so much, much quicker than they are now. So we anticipate this would be closer to a normal CPT aging report come April if that is not extended. You can break it out by quarters and by month, see historically how the collection percentages are doing. You can look at date of service versus date of submission. Date of service will tell you the funds that have come in for the specific date of service charge, whereas date of submission starts tracking from the date that the claims are actually submitted to the payers. If you are looking to see which payers are the payers that are really holding you up from collecting, you would go to this tab, AR by payer. Again, any single figure, if you click on it, it will take you to the detailed report behind it. And then you can scroll down and really see where is the open AR. You would expect Medicaid and MLTCs are all very quick, very high percentage. Then the MCOs take a little bit longer under the old system. And that will, you would expect everything Medicaid for the next couple months will be a very high collection percentage. One thing that we are asked about a lot in the portal, community mental health assessments. Just so everyone knows, BTQ does not bill for those. The way that the state has set up that workflow, the community mental health assessments are uploaded directly to the state, and the MCOs will go in, pull the data, and bill them. MCO does BTQ does work on your behalf, though, to get those paid. We have access to the UAS portal. We will pull all of the mental health assessments that were uploaded for your health home, and we will follow up with each MCO to make sure they're paid very timely. So we do have a role in trying to get you paid for those, and we, if that system changes, then we will deal with that. But for now, it's direct to the MCOs. We talked about the denial report. We do get a lot of questions about denials. Each claim can have 5 or more denial types on it. But what the portal does for you is it puts them in a hierarchy of really, what is the main issue that you need to work. We have soft denials and hard denials. The really only hard denials that we get are that, either it was paid to another provider already, or it's over 2 years old, or the eligibility, the patient didn't have eligibility and the claim is over 3 months old. At that point, we would work together with the health home to, have the CMA review these claims, and then they may be eligible for a write-off so that we keep the AR clean. No write-offs will occur without the CMA approving of the claims to be written off. BTQ will work to get any soft denials that we can rebuild, fix and rebuild on your behalf. Eligibility we talked about. If you get the patient re-credentialed, it'll sweep and rebill automatically. Then we have a lot of things that, sometimes are just a delay. Locator code not on file with the state, or the wrong one was billed. Modifiers, sometimes the MCOs forget to put the 3 modifier on the claim, or, anything else demographic-wise, anything like that. BTQ will try to fix them and rebill. We rebill constantly, and on the case of the MCOs, we meet with them every month and try to get them to rebill all of the claims so that you can get paid. The last billing report I want to look at is what we call the summary, the health home summary page. And really it is to kind of give you the big picture in one shot. So if you didn't have us here walking you through the claims, you kind of want to see big picture where all the issues are, you would go to this report. Some of the things that it gives you, just a quick breakout week by week, what was billed and what was paid. This is by submission, so it doesn't tie the payments to the claims. It tells you everything that was paid in a given week. They have the links at the bottom of each one to take you directly into the main report. So we have that for you in case you wanted to go pull the actual detail. We have the AR summary like we showed you before, but without the, just the basic 0 to 120 and 120 over. Then if you wanted to go to the full report, you can. Who are the top 10 MCOs that are giving me agita? Who's taking the longest to pay here? So we have those in order for you, so you can quickly decide to follow up with us and see what's going on with any one of the payers in particular. For the health homes, it would give you a breakout of the CMA's open AR, which CMAs have the most remaining AR open. And then it gives you your quick denial breakout and an overview of all your patients that are ineligible. So this is out of your total patients, 1199 in this instance, 115 are ineligible. Quick breakout of your missed claims report. As you saw, there's a lot of detail in that missed claims report, but you would, this is a quick breakout. If you want the detail, you would click on it. Then it gives you the enrollment status. How many patients on the enrollment file, how many billed, and the potential versus actual. So it's really a quick overview of everything going on, in case you, just wanted a quick big picture. We also are working on some other dashboards and things to kind of show you at a glance what's going on. But this is really, beginning to end, big picture.